ShineHard family and friends, welcome back to another episode of the ShineHard Conversation. I'm your host, Johnny Bailey, and this week I'm in Washington, D.C. with tech entrepreneur Alexia Clincy. Alexia is here all the way from LA. Very, very happy to have her. She is the founder and executive director of Capitalize Social, a marketing agency that helps business owners reach their goals online. Today, Alexia is going to tell us about the do's and don'ts of social media, the story behind how her brand and business came about, and also some of her personal successes. And most importantly, become a member of the ShineHard family. So you're ready, I'm ready. Alexia, it's time to shine.
I'm ready. I'm excited.
Cool. So it's always fascinating to me when I talk to talented and successful people to really understand how their journey began. So can you talk a little bit about your childhood and what growing up was like for you?
Oh gosh, sure. So I grew up in North Carolina, in Winston-Salem, in a little apartment actually with two younger brothers, my two parents. We had an awesome family life. So that's one of the things I've always been blessed and glad for, is that we have a really, really tight family. Went to school there in Winston-Salem until college, went to Elon, and then I moved to DC for grad school later on. So overall, I spent all my time in North Carolina just really hanging out with the family.
Where'd you go to grad school?
I went to American University.
Okay, here in DC.
Yeah, so that's what brought me here to DC originally.
Gotcha. So you know what's funny is, like, you know how when we were younger, we all wanted to be something when we got older. Usually it doesn't end up being what we thought we would be. But I want to know, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you would grow up?
I think one of the first things I wanted to be was a marine biologist.
Really?
Yeah, my mother is from the Bahamas, and so we used to do a lot of traveling back and forth to the islands. I really liked the beach, and I was one of those people who had like every animal book because I thought I was gonna like have every pet, and I never had any pets actually.
Are you an animal lover?
Not really. I wouldn't even really say it anymore. But as a kid, like I always wanted a pet so bad, and we never got one. But I wanted to be a marine biologist. And then after that, I believe I wanted to get into foreign service. So I wanted to be like work in the government and do foreign service work, something that was cultural or had international basis to it.
Gotcha. Are you bilingual?
I speak Spanish. I've spoken Spanish since maybe up second grade or so, and then all of my friends spoke Spanish too. So yeah.
So that really helps you when you're in Los Angeles, I'm sure.
Yeah, it does now, more than it did when I was in DC for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about Capitalize Social. Usually when people start businesses, it's because of a groundbreaking innovation, or sometimes simply just filling a void that's needed. Tell us the story about how your business came about.
Johnny, you want to know the void I had to fill when I started Capitalize Social?
Tell me about it.
It was not having a job. So like, honestly, I graduated from grad school and I was like on the computer every day, like trying to find a job and like trying to figure out something. And I was like, oh, I'm already freelancing basically. With a few different clients that I had where I was doing their social media. There was no, rhyme or reason to it. I was just out here working with different people. And then when I was like months in the summer, like maybe I should just turn this into a company. So quite frankly, that's really what I did. As far as filling a void with my actual work though, there's so many, especially at that time, new businesses in the area where I was that needed social media or, they knew about it, but they just didn't know how to start. So I knew that in starting this company, it would be something where there's plenty of folks that, I could grab and be able to work with. Yeah.
So how did you know that you had this skill in social media?
Back to grad school again. I feel like everything kind of goes back to school for me. But in grad school, I was doing intercultural communications. Around that time was the Arab Spring, where in Tunisia and some other countries, they were revolting. They were using Twitter to get people all together, similar to kind of now how people are using Twitter so much.
Like Black Lives Matter and things,
and for protesting, things like that. So I was thinking I was taking the easy route, and I would use that for like all my projects. So in school, I would always go back to discussing social media or how it's being used, which led me to discover there's a lot of academic work actually on the subject, which was surprising to me. So I really just got into it while I was in grad school, and then for certain projects, I had to develop like a strategy. So for like a social science research center, I developed a strategy. For my final project to graduate, I worked with a realtor for a semester, and we developed a strategy, did some execution. I think he sold a $1.3 million house like specifically off of that because it was so awesome for my grades because
What about your pockets?
Right. For the second month in, he got an email from a guy who was all the way in Denver, Colorado, and this guy's in Bethesda. And the guy emailed him like, "Oh, I see you have a good presence online and in social media, so I want you to sell my mom's house here." So he got that, and I was like, "Yes." So it shows, that it works.
That really matters.
Yeah, it has reach in making him more marketable, but also for him just to even get his brand out there.
Right. So talk about some of the products and services that you offer with Capitalize Social.
Well, it's a couple of different angles depending on the type of client.
Okay.
A lot of them are short-term projects, and short-term being maybe like 3 to 6 months or so.
Okay.
If a client has a campaign that they want to hold, or you have a book that's going on sale, or it's for a movie or something like that, and we're just developing what type of content should go out, how to lead people back to whatever their final destination is, buying something or signing up for something, and then kind of just carrying it out, and then we're done. For some, we do consulting where we're actually, speaking to them every week to their communications department or the people who are actually implementing it. So we're not implementing it, but they are, but we're just kind of keeping them according to plan. So we'll develop strategy and then either train or consult to keep you on path with that strategy. Or for some, we do the implementation. So I also can give somebody an account manager to carry it out. So they're actually doing the tweets and posting. And
so you have a team.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I just did some hiring a couple weeks ago to add 3 more people.
Wow. So how does that feel when you start building that team around the vision?
It feels awesome, and then you got to pay them. So I always want to just make sure people don't think like, it seems so glamorous, like, oh, like you do whatever you want. And it's like, it's cool and it's glamorous, but at the same time, like, it's a lot of responsibility too,
Absolutely.
And the real side of it is, the more people you bring onto the team, the more it's like you have to spend with, management and making sure people are getting paid and time and all that
money,
stuff.
Everything is being used.
Yeah.
That's real. So this is a question that really hits home with me because I'm in that same phase of like team building and bringing people on. What type of characteristics do you look for in people that you bring onto your team?
One of the biggest things I look for with people that I want to bring onto my team or that I really want to work with in general, I believe would be that they're self-starter and kind of self-motivated because I need to be able to, if I ask somebody to get something done or to work on something, I don't want it to be like I come back and they're like, oh, well, I was having an issue with whatever, and they just didn't ask, or they didn't, you know what I mean? Or like I have to like babysit them along,
Yeah.
So people who can like, they have some initiative and they know like they're getting stuff done, or even if they're asking me a question is fine, but like not just kind of letting stuff just flow and nothing happening.
Yeah, no, that's huge. So for me, I think it's very important to have a lot of skills in your toolkit as a marketing, because I work in marketing too, so me and you have some things in common there. There's probably not many more skills more important than storytelling. When I was working at Nike, it seemed like everything we did revolved around storytelling. And I noticed that you consider yourself a digital storyteller. Can you talk about what it means to be a digital storyteller and the components of telling a good story?
Sure. So digital storytelling, it is very important, like you said, but it is everything. I think it's what separates people who, say they're good at social media and marketers from people who really are good. Because when you're online, nothing that's coming up as a post from we're talking like from a company or from a brand, but nothing that goes up should look like they're trying to just straight up sell you stuff, you know? It needs to look like it's native to the platform. It needs to connect with the audience. So those are the things, when you're telling a story, really you're either showing graphics or writing posts that are connecting to a lifestyle or, something beyond. Just like when we watch commercials, it's a lot of times the coolest ones aren't right about the product, but it's just about like that overall, how does this make you feel? And
the experience of that brand.
Yeah. And so, I always want to challenge my clients or challenge, anybody who's talking to me about social media to not just make everything look at me, or look at this product, look at this service or whatever, but to really like dig deep into even telling your own story. So if you're a new business person or a small business person, a lot of times people like to hear about your story, how you got started and what's going into you creating whatever you create or do. So telling those stories, your own stories.
Those behind the scenes moments on Snapchat.
Yeah, exactly. But also then for the people, whatever product or service it is, like, who is that person? How do they think? What do they care about? And really weaving that into like your content.
Right. So talking about challenging people, there's probably a lot of older or just maybe unaware professionals that don't think social media is necessary in business. And that's okay, because I think overcoming objections is all a part of closing the deal. But can you explain why social media is important?
Yes. Social media, so first of all too, and like you said, there's a lot of people who are still skeptical. I think it's a lot less now, but people are skeptical of social media, like, why do I need this, or why is it important? And quite frankly, a lot of times when I'm dealing with people who are maybe older or not used to the tools, it's really just having to break it down to them that it's the same thing we've always been doing. It's literally just a different set of tools. Just like when you go to a networking meeting, the things that you do, the way you speak to people, is the same thing we can just do on Twitter.
Right.
Just the way you're making your commercials or whatever else, like you're doing that on Instagram, you're doing that on Snapchat. Right. And it's a lot less expensive too. And then when I show them that, how much more you can measure what you're doing, how much more you can like actually reach and engage. It's just taking it from being a one-way conversation to a two-way conversation. And quite frankly, I mean, that's why it's so important, because now it makes so much more sense as a business person for me to want to connect two-way with my customer or potential customers and create more of a community around my brand or my product and service, because now they're more invested. Like, we know each other.
It's a relationship.
We know each other. Yeah. It's the relationship building, and that's really important.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people really do want to just skip that step. But man, the best people, like, and you'll see a lot of people with high Instagram followings and stuff who, I don't even know, I couldn't even tell you what they really sell, but I bet you they could put on any outfit and be like, I got it here. And they get a lot of affiliate clicks, and they're getting money from that, you know? So it's really just relationship building.
Absolutely.
And it really takes your business to a different level.
So how does someone, or how do you measure success on social media?
Technically?
Yeah.
Well, I'll get into analytics in a second too, but just from looking at something, I would say, like, if I looked at somebody's Twitter page or Instagram page, I would be looking at the engagement that they're getting overall, because you can see when some people, you know, they're just talking to themselves and
Comments,
they're just talking.
replies.
So people engaging, you know, retweeting, whatever is huge. So there's a lot of people I know who can have 1,000 followers, but they get way more engagement than people who have like 60,000. So this page is still more valuable to me, and they're doing better to me. On the analytics side, though, there's analytics now in platform for Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
Oh, did you see the new Instagram update?
Oh,
so
yeah.
They made it like a business account now, so you can change your account to business and link it to Facebook and really get analytics and promotions.
Yep. But ever since Facebook bought Instagram now,
I know.
I'm not really feeling that algorithm where they're like mixing up, because the point to me was like, I want to see like what's happening now. I don't want to like something that's like, oh, that was like 10 hours ago.
Yeah, give it to me straight, bro.
Right. That's the only part. I'm not mad at the business part. I mean, that's good for people like us, but on the whole timeline thing, I don't like that.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes they try to make Instagram like Facebook instead of just keeping it two separate platforms. Yeah,
but that's what Facebook does. But also, to Facebook's credit, like, they also know what they're doing. So we always complain every time stuff gets updated or whatever. And still might not really like it, but on the business side and for them, it's like,
that's
it
why they're
makes more
$1
sense.
$1 billion company, because they're making everything about dollars in their own way.
So
what's your favorite social media platform?
My real favorite on the nerd side is probably LinkedIn, to be honest. I love LinkedIn. I get I get so many things through LinkedIn, and I just use it. I think I like it so much because there's a lot of little things you can do that nobody really does.
Nobody knows about.
So the simple stuff I can do that's like, it brings a little bit more attention, because nobody really does anything on LinkedIn. But then on more of like, for me personally, I would say Twitter too. It's like my favorite, like, everyday social network to use.
I can relate to that. I'm tied up between LinkedIn and Instagram, and then maybe Snapchat's like my third favorite, just because the creativity and innovation and things that you can do that are just unique.
Snapchat's the highest converting now. It's starting to be too. Like, you can, if somebody's gonna sit there and watch everything you're putting up there that you're doing, like, they're listening to everything you say. So like, I can put up like a book, or I can say go get something or do something. People like actually go do it
quick.
Instagram's kind of falling off for me personally. I don't even go on it as much, but because now Snapchat makes it more comfortable for me. Like, with Instagram, it's sitting there forever kind of thing. So it's like, you don't just put anything on there. but I can snap more often, and then just every once in a while put something like really cool on
And you
Instagram.
can see so many people are going from Instagram and they're spending their whole day on Snapchat now. And you can tell in the likes and the engagement on your Instagram that people just aren't there as much.
Yeah, that's what kind of changed too, is the engagement, where like I'm like, no, are people not even seeing stuff anymore? Because it's like, it's a lot less.
Right. The algorithm and Snapchat have just changed the whole game.
Yeah.
And then Periscope just fell off the map completely. Like, no one uses Periscope anymore.
Yeah, and I feel bad. I didn't even say it. Periscope's really cool though, but yeah,
I feel like Snapchat undercut Periscope though, because it's like same concept almost with the talking and the video, but it's like quicker. It's more easier to digest maybe.
The thing that was cool about Periscope though was how you could like really see what people are doing all over the world and everything too. Like the only thing about Snapchat, which is it's kind of a good thing, kind of bad, is like you can't really discover people, you know.
That's true.
So like you gotta tell me what your Snapchat is, or I have to see it. Like you have to promote your Snapchat for people to like really get to you, or you just have to be that popping where people share it. But in a way, I kind of liked it because it kind of like just keeps it real, you know. Like everybody's not out here just trying to like load up their numbers, and I like how it's not like, oh, I have this many.
It's not follower driven.
Yeah. It's really just about like doing some dope content and putting it out there.
Who are you following right now that really inspires you? Any brands out there?
I really like Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
Gary V. I think his handles are like GaryVee on everything.
I follow Gary.
But yeah, I like him on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. Even though I can't keep up all the time because he snaps so much. But people
he's everywhere.
Yeah, he's always like super hustling. Like he's really outworking everybody. I like the things that he always has to say. I can tell as a marketer, I can tell when he's like experimenting with stuff and like trying to test stuff to see how it works or how he gets people to go to different places and stuff from his Snapchat. And I'll try to do that every once in a while too, and it really will work, like seeing kind of some of the stuff that he does and then doing it. But he's a good author and everything too, so I like all of his work.
I actually read his book Crush It like 7 years ago before I even knew who he was. Like my line brother gave me the book and I read it. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. That's when I started to get into like the digital marketing stuff. But yeah, he's a really good guy.
Yeah, and that was like his first or second book, but I just read that one like recently, like in the last couple months, because I started with his newer books, Jab, 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 Right Hook. Yeah. And now he has Ask Gary Vee out, which is really good too for entrepreneurs. Yeah, anybody who's interested in entrepreneurship or starting their own thing, Ask Gary Vee is really good too.
Nice. Do clients just come to you, or do you ever have to like field clients and then like take them through a process of like signing?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Something that I've gone through and I don't do anymore. Like I'm not. So when I first started, because when you first start too, like you got to have somebody to grow or to even be able to show that you're doing this.
Right.
At the same time, it's like you're new, so you don't want to be like charging too much, doing too much. So there was people at the beginning, I'd be like, $500, I'll do so much stuff, and then I was mad the whole time I was working. I was like, dude, this is not worth it. Like this is
undervalued yourself so bad.
Crazy, but it's like, but I had to get people on my list of like, I've worked with these people or something. So you got to start somewhere. But that's a big problem I think a lot of young people, and especially a lot of women make, is undervaluing their time or the amount that they want somebody to pay for their services. And so now that's definitely something where I'll tell people, this is the rate or this is the price, and it's like boom boom, like
take it or leave it.
Yeah, I mean, and it depends, because there's some opportunities you weigh where you can see like, oh, this would be a great opportunity, visibly or marketing wise for you, where you may take a little bit less or do something. But for the most part, also you got to think about who your clients are. So depending on who you work with, if I'm working with companies, businesses that understand marketing, they have marketing budgets, nobody else is coming to them like, you want to do this, you want to do that, like, you know what I mean? They're coming to you like with it mapped out. This is what we're doing. Boom. Like, do you want to do it or not?
Right. This is what we're doing. This is what it costs.
Yeah. And they get that too. So that's one of the things I learned early is, when I used to try to work with smaller businesses or individuals who needed help, there's always that kind of like tug and like, I don't know. But then like it's almost easier to get somebody who gets it and gets business to just be like, this looks good. You're showing me what I'm getting, how much it is. Let's go. Right.
So it's pretty safe to say that everyone has had a vision or a dream at some point. No?
I wouldn't say it's safe to say that, but a lot of people, sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think everyone had a dream at
Not everybody has a dream. Some people, I have a lot of friends who are even like our age who still are like, man, I'm not sure what my purpose is or my passion or whatever. So I don't, that's one thing I don't take for granted, because a lot of times people will say that to me where they're like, oh, I like how you seem to know exactly what you want, and then they will express it. They have issue with that too. So
that's true. I guess you're probably right.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my next question would be, what's the difference between people who have made their dream a reality and people who haven't?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think the only difference is action, for the most part, because and whatever reason, like for whatever reason they don't take that action, and mostly I'm sure it breaks down to fear or some type of fear.
Right.
But yeah, that's got to be it. If you have something that you want, some people make moves to get it. Some people, they just keep thinking about it, or they're trying to plan something, or I don't know, what if this happens, what if that, and then next thing you know, that's it for life. Like you just never did it.
Time passes. Time's gonna pass by anyway. You might as well do it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the DNA of Alexia Clincy? What are your 3 major attributes that make you successful?
Let's see if I can think of 3. I have a couple for sure. I would say 1 is curiosity. So like I really, when I see things, I'm wondering about it. Why is this like this? Why is that happening? And I'm always researching. So maybe I can skirt that into 2. Then I'm always researching and learning. So I like to look up everything. If somebody says a word I don't know, then I'm going to go, Google it and figure it out. So I like to always learn and to be growing, which I'm going to change that into 3. That I love being able to look back like 5 years ago and be like, wow, I'm like a totally different person right now. From my reading that I've done and experiences or whatever, just really being able to see things as they're happening and take experiences and be like, you know what, this was good, this was bad, like I'm learning something from this, and like I keep growing to become something else. So with everything, like continue to grow. And that's one of the biggest things that even in my circles and in my friends, that I like to hang out with people like that, where they're always like trying to do something better, or trying to grow, or like be self-aware and all of that.
You have to surround yourself with people who are doing what you're doing or thinking big. Yeah,
you do. It just, people kind of automatically just drop off, because after a while you're like, I can't, what are we talking about? Or
how do you deal with that though? Isn't that kind of crazy how when you start to level up in your life, that some people that you used to be with in your last chapter don't always make it to your next chapter? How do you handle those relationships like falling off?
And I think to a degree that you should kind of cut some relationships, but some, it's not that you're cutting them. Like maybe I'll call like old friends, so people you just even grew up with, because we're friends off of default, like we're just friends. And so you try to reach out to them every once in a while. But it is frustrating when it's like all they want to do is talk about, people, or talk about stuff, and you're just like, oh, I just have so many other things like that's more important than that, or whatever. But then for some people, it's not even really healthy either. So you really do just got to be like, you know what, like you just kind of weighing away from them. But I've always continued to make new friends depending on where I am, what I'm doing. And then there's some that I keep track of, and then there's some that I just don't anymore. But I think that's a necessary thing. It's not like and it's definitely never oh, I'm better than these people now. Like, it's not like you're trying to push them away. It's just like we don't really relate as much anymore.
They say your vibe attracts your tribe.
Sounds good. I would say so.
I trademark. I want to see that on your hashtag.
Right. Let me tweet that later.
There's a lot going on in today's world. Like the world is like so crazy right now, with shootings and politics and vanity on social media. And you spend a lot of time online, so I'm sure you'll be able to answer this question. What frustrates you the most about today's culture?
That's a pretty loaded question overall. Just what frustrates me about culture. There's a few different ways we could take that. So overall, obvious things that are frustrating, and I'll say it like through the lens of social media that I see, maybe that'll kind of narrow it down a little bit. But people who have, there's no difference of opinion sometimes. Like people just have wrong views. Like when it comes to like everything that's going on with Black Lives Matter, with violence from the police, all those types of things. It's like we see all these conversations happening, and for me, something that bothers me about the culture is that people would rather argue aside instead of actually listening. Like sometimes there's no conversation. It's just like this side, this side, this side, this side, and it's really frustrating just to watch it, because like it's not helping anybody.
There's no progress there.
But there's progress and people speaking out against issues, because now they spread, and now that's why people are writing about it, because nowadays it seems like every article is taking everything from Twitter anyway. You know what I mean? So it's good that it's being talked about, but it sucks that, for example, like with Leslie Jones, like and everything that happened with her and people trolling her and getting on her so much that she had got off Twitter for a minute.
Yeah.
But like stuff like that is, I don't know, it's just, I think that's horrible. And I think we forget sometimes being behind a keyboard that people are real people. And so it's easy to talk down on people. It's easy to call people names and throw their picture up and talk about people you don't even really know, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's something that we need to consider more, that yeah, it's just social media, but it's also not. So with our culture being so online, I'd like to see less of, or us taking more responsibility for the things we're actually saying and talking about and how we talk to each other.
That's real. That's deep. So what's your competitive advantage?
I would say my competitive advantage is how knowledgeable I am about the actual audiences that most of my clients want to reach. So really knowing the audience that way, and then being research oriented. So when I work with a client, I'm not just like, oh, well, let's tweet about this or let's do this, but we do a lot of assessment of their business to see like where their holes are, where their opportunities are to like really capitalize. We do a lot of research on the target audience, on competitors to see what everybody else is doing so you can be different from them as well. The industry also, so we do a lot of work looking around to see, okay, what can we create that's going to be a little bit better, different, and that makes sense like for that brand. So
you seem to have it all planned out. What do you think you'll be most proud of accomplishing in 10 years?
Really? So, and this is something I don't think we'd even talked about yet, but outside of Capitalized Social, I am starting up an online community that I'm calling the Success Squad.
Okay.
So maybe I'll have it, at least my landing page and everything up by the time this can be out.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so that's what I want to be most proud of, is energizing other people in their passion to be go-getters. And you saying go-getters is what jogged it for me to say this, because I want it to be an online community where it's almost like a mastermind group where people can have forums. So I'll put up maybe weekly videos just on different thoughts. So it's not just social media, but on different thoughts on, you know, leadership or starting your business or how to do whatever. Also, I want to do different challenges like a 30-day goal challenge or vision board challenges, stuff like that. I want to highlight different people like yourself who have started something and now, you know, what's their story so people can identify with them.
Interviews?
Maybe, yeah, but they'll probably be written out. Also want to have a section called the bookshelf, so like books, because people are always starting to ask me like when I'm reading, so maybe we'd have a book for the month, but then there's also this other, you know, list of all the books that once they've gone over to that. So I just want to be like a place for like a resource and a forum.
Yeah, that's dope.
And it started because I think it's really important when people try to think about like what is my passion, what is my purpose. Really, the answer a lot of times comes from your friends, or like, you know, what do people ask you all the time, or what do people look to you for?
It's a calling. What are people calling you to do?
Yeah, and it got to the point where people on Snapchat, for example, because every once in a while I don't show it every day, but every day I write out the same goals. And then people would ask me, why are you doing that? Or people would start saying, I got a notebook so I could do it. And other people, I got a notebook, I'm starting to do this. And so I was like, oh, so people are like getting into it. Or if I'm reading books, they start asking me, you know, over and over, like, oh, what are you reading now? What's the next thing I should read? Or people are always asking me, I have an idea, what should I do? How can I grow this? So I'm like, man, let me just make like a place for this. And I want to have like a mastermind group. Maybe we'll start something where it's like find a mastermind through this or something where it's like little groups. Because truly they should be, you know, smaller groups. But just wanted to have like a place where everybody can kind of be and discuss and like kind of be inspired to do what they want to do.
I think that's an extraordinary idea. I hope I get an invite.
No, you will. So you definitely will. And when we launch, I think the first thing I'm going to do is a 30-day goal challenge where I have, you know, send everybody the first maybe 50 people who sign up the notebook or whatever. And then like every day just putting those down. So.
Yeah, keep me posted. I'm in. Count me in.
But that's what I'm most excited about outside of, and that's what I'll probably more personally, like my face be in a little bit more. Whereas, you know, with my company, it's like, that's my company. It's not like all about me, you know, with me plastered all over the place or anything. But this is like a project that I'm really like, I can feel it, like I'm more passionate when I'm writing about it or planning it or talking about it. So I'm excited to do it.
I'm definitely with you. It's been a challenge for me to kind of separate myself from the ShineHard project. And people are not just saying that's your thing. No, it's not mine. To me, it's like an organization that has a purpose and it's serving, you know, so.
It is always tough, like, because at first you kind of have to be a face, like, to get it started.
You have
but then
to be
it's
the
like,
ambassador of it.
Yeah, but if you want to be like a company or an organization, it's like, it's not really about you, so you kind of start to distance a little bit.
So I'm at that point now, and I'm really excited. But mastermind groups are always dope. It takes me back to my Think and Grow Rich days. So we're on the same page.
And it's cool when you have people like y'all talking about those same types of things, and you're all like trying to grow. And a lot of times people just don't know like who to go out and ask a question to.
Absolutely. So when we talk about advice, what advice do you have for the students and professionals that want to shine as tech entrepreneurs? Like, what's the mindset? What steps should they take?
Even though you said a tech entrepreneur, which means that they probably are into coding, digital, in whatever way, apps, mobile, whatever it is, really one thing that with a lot of those folks I noticed is lacking is just the straight up networking and talking to people. Because when you're really technological and more technical, because even I'm not super technical, because mine's more so about the marketing and communications part of it. But for those who I know who are into tech entrepreneurship, like they're really into their craft and they can be on the computer all night doing stuff, but like then you need funding, and then you need some of those other aspects to make a business.
Have you had to pitch your idea to get funding or investors?
No, I haven't done that. And so I'm thinking about once I maybe productize some of the services or something where it's not like I'm a part of it or account manager like actually talking to somebody, but if we develop something along the way, then I would think about probably doing that for sure. But those things are what's really important when you want to make your idea real and go from the idea stage. So I would definitely say like the networking and being able to speak to people about your idea and all of that is really important.
Okay. Well, you did it. And
I'm doing it.
You were doing it.
I'm still doing it.
You've completed our ShineHard conversation for today. We're very excited to have you as a member of the family. We really appreciate your insight today. And we really just look forward to a bright future with you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
For sure. So let everyone know how they can find you, social media, and get in contact with you.
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn, my favorite place, if you want to network as a professional, Alexia Clincy, or you can find me on Twitter, Lex_Topia, Lextopia on Twitter, on Snapchat, and on Instagram, because hopefully on you guys' social media, it's all the same name if you can. And then my business Twitter and all of that is cap_social. Nice. So definitely feel free to snap me, send me a message, whatever.
For sure. So you guys can find us, ShineHard Family, on Instagram, www.shinehardfamily.com. You can find me, Johnny Bailey, at JB's Food for Thought. You guys keep following your passion, find a way to serve, and remember, together we shine. See you guys.
23, I'm growing older. Getting closer to my prime, and my prime, then it's over.